So in this video we will be looking into the topic of thermal runway, and let's look into it directly. What's thermal runway really is about. So thermal runway, it is the process of self-destruction of a transistor which is highly unstable or unstabilized transistor, and that process of self-destruction is called as thermal runaway. That's it. That's the definition of thermal runaway. And let us see why this thermal runaway occurs. So, and how to reduce the thermal runaway. And let us consider ICBO, that is the current, which is the current due to the flow of minority charge carriers, or even we can say ICBO as the it's something which is related to the leakage current. Okay, and that isn't the topic of that isn't the really topic of thermal runaway, but ICBO is the current which is produced due to the flow of minority charge carriers. Okay, and we should keep this in mind, that minority charge carriers are always depending on the factor called temperature. Okay, and minority charge carriers are always depending on the temperature. So if we increase the temperature, the concentration of the minority charge carriers also increases. They are directly proportional, kind of. Okay, and which in turn again increases the flow of current, ICBO. So if we increase the temperature, even ICBO also increases. As a result, if ICBO is increasing, and if ICBO is increasing, IC also will also increase. That is because ICBO is something which is called as minority charge carriers, and ICB, it means that there is a current flowing between base and collector junction, and if there is a base and collector junction present, there must be a voltage presence as well, right? So if current is present, the voltage potential difference must also be present. If the potential difference is present and the current flow is also high, means the current flow at the I region, at the collector region, will also be high, right? So ICBO results in the increase of the current at the collector region. So therefore it means that as the temperature increases, the collector current also increases. This is the reason why thermal runaway is seen in the transistor. So what happens is, the IC current flow is nothing but the flow of charge. As current flow increases, the flow of charge also increases, which results in the increase in temperature. It's a kind of a cyclic, everything is being connected to each other, and if the temperature increases, the heat is produced, and if heat is produced, it might destroy the transistor. So this increase in temperature again increases IC, and if IC is increased, temperature will increase, and if temperature is increased, the heat is produced, and if heat is produced, temperature will be increased, and if temperature is increased, IC increases, and it's a kind of a cyclic process. And at one point, the temperature becomes so high that it might destroy the transistor. And that self-destruction is called as thermal runaway. Here you can see a kind of a diagram where it says increase in IC increases the temperature. If temperature is increased, the flow of minority charges increases, and if the flow of minority charges increases, the flow of ICBO will increase, and if ICBO is increased, IC also increases, and the cyclic process goes on. So as the temperature increases, it reaches a point which breaks or burns the transistor. As the IC reaches the certain point, this process, the breaking or the burning of a transistor, is called as thermal runaway. And this is all about thermal runaway. And how to reduce this thermal runaway? It is not good for a transistor, right? Something self-destructing is not good. So there are few techniques which can reduce the thermal runaway, and the process of reducing of thermal runaway is called as mitigation of transistor. Okay, and the mitigation process is as follows: introduction of the negative feedback. That is, when IC is given negative feedback. See, IC is being given the negative feedback. It will decrease the IC flow, right? And if IC is reduced, IB will also be reduced, which in turn decreases the number of minority charge carriers being produced. And if minority charge carriers are less produced, it won't increase IC, and if IC is not increased, there won't be increase in the temperature, and that's how you will control the thermal runaway. And the second type, to control the thermal runaway or reduce the thermal runaway is by using a heat sinks. Usage of heat sinks will also reduce the self destruction of a transistor. So this is all about the thermal runaway, how it occurs and how it can be controlled.